Welcome to Read Reading to be Read for November 2025. My favorite thing that I film for YouTube is myself choosing from these TBR cards to pick my TBR for the month. So we'll get to that later. This last month did not go according to plan whatsoever. I did manage to earn a few cards, but only by the skin of my teeth because they were shorter books. So let's talk about the red first. Completing my Animorph card, read a book with lots of animals. I read an Animorphs book. I thought it was totally fitting. I've been slowly making my way through the series over the last couple of years. This one will have been my second read through of this one, and it was just okay. I'm a little disenchanted with the back half of the series. I feel like a lot of them were kind of phoned in. I feel like I should have been more invested in this one than I was, but I was also trying to recover from a reading slump, so that probably factored in. Also, the cockroach book. Like, probably my least favorite animal that they transform into on the covers. Except for maybe the cow. Didn't like that one either. But I earned a card and it was a quick win, which I needed this month. Also read for my book lovers card, pick a contemporary romance off of your shelves to read. I read Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, and you know what? Loved it. Loved the snot out of it. Every bit as good as the Emily Henry stuff. And if possible, I think I laughed more in these ones. Like, when I was laughing in this book, there was no other baggage tied to it. I feel like Emily Henry books are so serious, but they're still so good. This one had its more painful, introspective moments. Those were great, but when it was fun, it was just absolutely fun. I adored this book. I don't say that word very often because I feel like people overuse it, but I cannot wait to read more from this author. And I love Emily Henry and Abby Jimenez now. I'm going to need more authors. So if you have a book or a series that's like these that you think I would like, please let me know. But in any case, second card earned. And then my Black Magic Sanction card, read a book from your current main focused urban fantasy series. And fittingly, over Halloween week, I picked up All Together Dead by Charlaine Harris. I really love this series. I feel like I talk about it way too much with a lot of repetitive words, so I'll just kind of leave it at that. It is continuing to be good. It's continuing to be an incredible palate cleanser between other things, and I want to read them so fast, but I also don't want to run out of them. It's that paradox. So probably, I don't know, 4 out of 5 stars? I don't know, I really loved it. I'm not going to rate the Animorphs book, but the Abby Jimenez was a solid 5-star if you couldn't tell. Earned another card. Moving on. And then there was one card I didn't get a chance to get around to. Read another Tchaikovsky. I'm so bummed. It was the card I was most excited to draw and the author I'm most excited to read. But I did a random draw and ended up picking up this instead, and we'll get to that. But that's why I didn't get around to this card. But I guess, I mean, I get to experience the joy of picking it again when it gets added back to the deck. Let's talk about currently reading. I had a read a book from your physical TBR via random draw, and this book got picked not only once for random draw, but twice when I was doing an only owned books challenge for my patrons. So the universe really wants me to read this book, and I tried. I made it to about the 30% mark and then realized that I was so disengaged that I needed to switch from an audiobook to a physical read. But the problem is I was already reading something physically. So I gave it a good go. I'm still going to inch my way along with it, but I wasn't able to consume it in the format that I needed to based on my time and energy. So I'm going to leave the card with it, and hopefully I'll be able to do a final wrap up over it over next month. There are times in the past where if I didn't get around to a book that I had started, I put the card back and I'm like, try again. Crap, now I gotta think about if I want to do that here. I'm thinking, if I can finish this book within the next couple of months, considering I have to switch to a physical read, then I'm going to keep the card with it and I will consider the card earned, especially since I gave it a good go and things beyond my control caused me to like get knocked off of it. So I'm going to leave the card with it, and I still have the ability to earn it, provided I'm doing it in good faith, right? Another problem, this is my Magic Strikes card, and it says, read a book you found out about on BookTube. My pick was The Company by KJ Parker, and this was the book I was reading physically when I found out that I needed to read this one. So I have to finish this one first. But then I have like 2 or 3 other things that I put down that I kind of want to go back and read like the earliest one that I picked up and finish it and kind of work my way along sequence. But this one's a buddy read, so I feel like it should take priority. Long story short, I'm making a concerted effort on The Company as well. I'm going to keep the card with it, and if I can finish it within a reasonable time frame, I'm going to count it as successful. But I got way too many of those going, so keep me accountable. We'll check in again at the end of this month and see how I'm doing and whether or not I think I need to just like throw the cards in and try again. But for now, I seem content with this. The company is okay. It's the reason I had trouble with this Quiet Gods is it was a little too repetitive, and I got disengaged because I felt like I was just reading the same thing that I had read in previous books over and over again, and it kind of lost me a little bit. But I am still interested in the overall arc that I can see forming here, and there was a new change to the story that I thought was fantastic. The Company, 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City, was my favorite read of last year, and I can't stop talking about it. It was so funny. It was so well done. Very creative. Loved everything about it. Very dynamic. This one's one note. This one is a bunch of characters, and it's a deep character study to the point where 40% of the way through the book, the selling point of the plot hasn't actually happened yet. That's way too long. But I imagine the people who loved this book were really in it for the characters. And I do feel an emotional connection. I am in it with them. There's two characters with names that both start with A. I find that really offensive because I can't tell them apart. But other than that, like it's a good case study. It's interesting to read some of Parker's earlier works. I really like the humor stuff, so I might find myself gravitating to those ones first. But anyway, that's why this one has taken me a little bit of time. So putting those aside, adding the Tchaikovsky card back into the deck. I need to pick a location card. I only have 4 location cards left. I started out with quite a few of them, but I figured as I use them, I'm going to set them aside and kind of give everything a chance to have a go. They have different prompts and they influence how the round goes. There's a specific rule on them that I need to follow. So with 4 left, we're gonna see if I'm gonna have a bad day or a good day. The 9. Every time I see the 9, I think of Logan Nine Fingers, and I think this is First Law, but no, this is actually the Powder Mage universe. It says, once this round, you can redo a random draw. Where was this last month? And at the end of the round, if I've drawn a Powder Mage book, I can search the deck for another to replace 1 card, so I could potentially earn 2 Powder Mage cards, which would be amazing because I already have earned 1. So if I do that, I have a complete set, and then I get to draw a new series to start from my jar of possibilities. Okay, that's a good one, but it'll only come into play if I have a random draw card. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to pick 5 cards to give myself variety. And if I don't get through all of the reads this month, then no problem. And you know what's funny? I would have thought that restricting myself down to just 5 chosen books for the month would be too much and I wouldn't feel the flow of it. But I'm such a structured reader, but it's actually been fine. The fact that I know I get to reset at the end of the month makes it just more fun. And when I'm feeling scattered in the middle of the month, it helps kind of focus my direction. Like if I am having that anxiety over not knowing which book to start, I have a short list. Okay, picking a card. The Girl of Fire and Thorns, excellent book. Read a book to progress a YA series you've already started. There are a few possibilities for this, but I kind of have in mind one that I've been like threatening to continue for a while now. So let's go find one. So the one that comes to mind first is Desires of the Dead, the second book in the Body Finder series. That one is most excellent. Oh, okay. But I also have probably more momentum with the Inheritance game series. Yeah, that's the one I probably should read. I mean, this is like, I'm probably going to enjoy this book more, but I don't want to lose momentum on this where I'd have to restart the whole thing again. The only other one I can think of is possibly more of the Skyward series by Sanderson, but I didn't really like the second book and I've kind of lost momentum on it. So, yep, this is the one. Yeah, this will be perfect. I'm kind of tired of talking about this series, so I would like to just have read it already. It is good. I am enjoying it. The first book was the best one by far in reference to the types of games and puzzles they have to solve to kind of earn their inheritance, if you will. But I'm looking forward to seeing how the initial trilogy wraps up. So that's actually a pretty good pick for me. Okay, second card. These are getting a little more manageable. I think I've probably earned about 10 to 12 cards at this point. Another Stormlight one. Rhythm of War. Read a book from your library TBR that you've had on hold the longest. I've gotten this card before, and it was Disquiet Gods. That I cannot escape that frickin' book. This is a weird one because the library and I have had a major reshifting in our relationship since I did my library TBR challenge with my patrons. I am not using it nearly as often as I used to, mostly because I was really struggling with the time constraints. But as it happens, I already had the inheritance games. I'd been on hold for like 6 months to a year for some of those titles, and I refuse to take them off and buy the books. I refuse to after waiting all that time. So at the moment, the next book in the inheritance games, Beyond Final Gambit, is the oldest thing that I've had on hold because I went through and deleted a whole bunch of them. I won't drag you with me, but yeah, the Brothers Hawthorne. It would be really nice to clear out that cache. I guess it could be a heavy YA month. I mean, they're easy reads, and since I still have Disquiet Gods and The Company going as physical reads, I could think of worse things. So, and it would be earning a Stormlight card. But the caveat for this one is to get to this one, I will have needed to have read The Final Gambit, so it's a 2-for-1 deal. Works for me, though. I really don't want everything to be YA. You know, the funny thing, carrying Disquiet Gods and The Company into next month puts me at kind of a deficit, because if I get a card that requires me to read a physical read, then I'm going to pick that one up before I finish those 2 books. So I almost need to put those cards back in. We're a few months in and I'm still fleshing out the dynamics on how this game is going to work well for me. I feel like I should get credit for those cards, but I also know myself, if I start the new month off at a deficit, then it's going to take all the fun away from reading. But if I get rid of these cards, I'm basically saying to myself that I'm not picking these books back up until a new card is drawn that would accommodate them. Dave, how do you feel about that? I'm already too late to the read, right? Okay, that makes the most sense for the way the flow of my reading is going. I can't have my attentions drawn in too many directions, or else nothing gets read and I get overwhelmed. I know myself. So, the cards, I just shoved them in. They're going to be shoved back in, and give it a good mix. We'll see if something gets picked that will allow me to continue one of those books, then great. If not, then I'll just go a completely different direction. And you know what? If I want to read a book that's not in the cards, that sounds so new age, then I'll do it. This is not a stressful process. It's just about fine-tuning it. Okay, let's see what possibility there is next for me. I'm hoping to find the card that says, pick up a book you started and put down and meant to get back to. Wouldn't that be great? Okay. Not rigged, I swear. Maybe it just had some like universe energy on it because I had just handled it. Or maybe like the lamination is just thick enough that it sticks out and that's why the card got picked twice. Okay. Thank you, book gods. Read a book you found out about on BookTube. Done. If I pick the other card, then I'm just going to have to start the video all over again because there's no way anybody's going to believe that that happened. Okay. This one. Fablehaven card. Read a middle grade book you've owned the longest. I have lots and lots of them. Trouble is I don't really want to start a new series right now, but let's look around. Let's see what the options are. Could be an Animorphs book. Most of the middle grade stuff, there's a couple up here, that I've wanted to read over the years, I have. And so I'm only down to like the bare minimum of it. I guess there are a few more. I've got Artemis Fowl, Patrick Carman stuff, Charlie Bone. There are a few options in here. Here's the Dragon Watch stuff. I could finally finish the Candy Shop War series. Really loved the first book in this one, but I would need to reread it. Is there a standalone? Now, what about this one? I hear good things about Nancy Farmer. I think this is a standalone. I mean, that one sounds okay, but it doesn't look like it's got too much of a fantasy element. It's more of a, looks like a Nordic historical fiction setting. This one has always caught my eye. Hero's Guide to Saving Your Kingdom. They're the princes who saved Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, and Snow White and Rapunzel. But you've never heard of them because we always called them Prince Charming. This was before Tangled came out. So that one could be cute, but I know it's a trilogy. The Wizard Test has been on my shelves since the dawn of time. That might be a good one. You know, I've been really wanting to read, if I can do it without falling over, the Janitor series by Tyler Whitesides. But yet again, it's starting a series. But that one's a short list. We can do that. God, you know, spoiler alert, I'm struggling in general. And I don't want to overcomplicate my life. The easiest thing for me to do would be to just read another Animorphs books and continue. I mean, these have been on my shelves since I started loving reading when I was a kid. So, this is my short list. If I feel ambitious, I'll pick up one of the other ones, but I more than likely will read the Animorphs books. Okay. I'm trying really hard not to overcomplicate things. So, an Animorphs book would fit the prompt. And, like I said, this one's been calling to me. But I've been doing so good at not starting new series this year and actually catching up, and I finally feel like I can breathe. That's usually when I start, like, it's like getting injured. And when you start to feel better, that's when you overdo it, and then you, like, knock yourself back another couple of months. I don't want to do that with my reading. So I got some options, but don't hold your breath, okay? Okay, one more pick. I'm hoping for a Powder Mage card. That would be really cool. I think I've only once drawn the location, the actual location card from what I'm using that month. So, Powder Mage, first law. Read a book from your high priority shelves. Ooh, free reign. I used to have high priority shelves. I integrated them back into my collection. I just got over organized one day. So let's look around and see what maybe my short list would be for this. A lot of stuff is high priority, but I'm not ready to dive in at the moment, you know, like new series mostly. More Sookie Stackhouse, that would definitely be on my high priority. I've gotten really picky lately over what constitutes as high priority and what doesn't. Ooh, okay. I've been super into Anthony Bryan stuff lately. I've actually read that one already. But I really want to start The Tide of Black Steel. You know, I forgot to mention that my patron challenge this month is Only Owned Books, and we're focusing on mostly dust collectors. And so I kind of want to pick something a little bit older, but City of Songs isn't older, but it's definitely high priority. Grimoire Grammar School would be cool because I have momentum. I just read the first book in that one. Ooh, any of the Sanderson stuff. That could be really fun. I want to read all of them, but I really want to go in publication order. I know it's arbitrary, but that would be a fun one. It's kind of a testament to how good I've done lately at kind of curbing my scatteredness with reading, because I really don't have that many high priority options. Single focused right now. This is me staring at my collection for like 20 minutes that I'm going to have to edit down. Oh yeah, he's up top, so I forgot. But continuing a Tchaikovsky would make me really happy. Trouble is I think this is going to need to be a physical read. Do I have time for that? I am not sure. Depends on how the company goes, but that would be a good one too. I love cards like this because I could read a number of things and it would totally count. And I kind of built in that flexibility on purpose. So I think this is enough, right? I've got a lineup of awesome authors here, and I think any one of them could work. So maybe I'll just leave it as a clump and then decide as the month goes on what I think I'm in the mood for. Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's say from that short list, I pick up City of Songs. Let's say from my middle grade on the shelf the longest, I pick up Animorphs. That's The Company, which is a physical read, and then 2 YA books and a short novella and a middle grade. If that's the route that I go, then I can pick another card. I'm kind of leaning towards being a little strategic with it. So I think I am. I think I'm going to draw another card that's going to force me to pick a robust fantasy or sci-fi and kind of go from there. And here we go. Yeah, because I think audiobook content for 4 out of the 5 books that I've chosen could get done in like a week. So, okay, probably 2 weeks at the rate that I'm going right now. Okay, we are going with, it's Ender's Game. I thought it was the Tchaikovsky card. Read a sci-fi standalone. Now we're talking. Which one? I've been wanting to broaden my horizons with sci-fi, so I've been buying the broken binding things that come out that look mildly interesting. It's gonna take me a minute to look through and see what I have. Let's go look. First one that came to mind, because I just did a Read Burn Horde, is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. But I also have The Left Hand of Darkness. That could be a good one. Perdido Street Station, which I am considering a standalone at this point. I don't think I'll plan to continue. What else? The raw footage of this is just me walking around my library, staring at my shelves with my mouth open, like, I don't know. Ooh. I love Julie Chernita, one of my favorite sci-fi writers. I have heard from a couple commenters that this is really good. That would be great. I feel like sometimes bottom shelves get a little neglected, but I have Cameron Hurley, 2 standalone sci-fi from that author. I'm not sure if I can handle a Cameron Hurley this month. That author is not afraid of taboo topics or shock value things. I'm so stupid. The king of standalone sci-fi, Adrian Tchaikovsky. Like, look at how many I have. Okay, the perfect one would be Shroud, because my patrons and I are doing a buddy read for it. However, it's not until December, so it's the wrong month for that to count. I've got Seal of the Worm. What about Spiderlight? No, that looks more like a fantasy. Okay. I really like the idea of this challenge having me pick up books that I wouldn't have picked up for years otherwise, but really want to read. So I think this is going to be my pick. The trouble is it's not a super high priority one, so I'm not sure if I'm actually going to make time for it or not, but we'll see. It's a good option for me. So with that, this is my lineup of possibilities. Nope, wait. High priority read, Strength of the Few comes out in November, and I am so picking that book up. Like, get organized, lady. So forget everything I said about my card for read something from your high priority shelves. Strength of the Few. I have pre-ordered accidentally maybe even 2 copies. So I own the sucker, and that's totally the one that's getting read this month. I should really look at my reading schedule before I start filming my TBR video, right? As you were. I genuinely like that lineup. I think it's, like, last month was so heavy it almost sent me into a reading slump. I pulled myself out of it with some more cheerful reads, but, like, I think easing into November would be great. And then mid-month, we'll see how things are going. But this month I did not pull a Powder Mage card, but I did pull a nice variety of everything. I'm not close to finishing a set yet, with the exception of the Empire series by Feist and Worse. I think I only need 1 card left for that. So we'll see what kind of damage I can do. And nothing was chosen by random draw. So this card just kind of passes this month. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this one. Are you running any kind of TBR game? Like initially when they first started coming onto the scene that they were a little too complicated. Like I've seen like board game versions where you roll dice and move across the board, versions where you play bingo and do the prompts then. I think one of the reasons this one's working for me is I designed my own cards, I wrote my own cards, and I've been really flexible with the rules of it to adapt it to myself, and I'm trying not to overcomplicate it. And it's working. It's the most fun I've had reading as far as like lowering my stress levels on book selection and lowering my anxiety over what to choose next that I've had since I started creating content online. So like 10 years. And it's also helping me read only high priority things because each month I have to make a concerted effort, and then my desire to earn the card is enough to keep me on track. And if you look at my reading shelf for the year, I was really scattered at the beginning of the year, but every single thing that I've read in the last couple of months, I've been so proud of that I read, and I feel like I'm in line with my value system of reading the best books first. So absolutely loving it. Highly recommend it if you haven't tried it already, because it's a perfect blend of structured reading meets mood reading. You have enough flexibility to really follow your moods, but you are also within a structured system where there's a reward system. It's fantastic. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.